For more than a decade, the name Suri Cruise represented one of the most recognizable celebrity children in the world. Long before she was old enough to understand the meaning of fame, cameras followed her everywhere she went. Every outing with her parents became international news. Every photograph appeared on magazine covers, and every milestone, from learning to walk to starting school, was documented by paparazzi because she was the daughter of two of Hollywood's biggest stars, Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes. Today, however, the story surrounding her is no longer about childhood fame or celebrity headlines, but about a deeply personal decision that has captured worldwide attention. At 20 years old, Suri has quietly chosen to leave behind one of the most famous surnames in entertainment by legally changing her name from Suri Cruise to Suri Noel, adopting her mother's middle name instead. There was no dramatic announcement, no emotional interview, no carefully produced social media video, and no public explanation. Instead, the change unfolded almost silently until official records confirmed what many had begun to notice. Even more remarkable than the decision itself has been the complete silence from Tom Cruise, one of Hollywood's most powerful and recognizable actors, who has made no public statement regarding his daughter's decision. That silence has become the loudest part of the story because, unlike many celebrity family disputes that play out through interviews, lawsuits, or public relations campaigns, this situation has unfolded with extraordinary restraint. The first public clue appeared during Suri's 2024 graduation from New York City's prestigious LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts, where the graduation program listed her as Suri Noel instead of Suri Cruise. At first, many assumed it was simply a preferred name, as countless young adults choose to experiment with their identities while beginning adulthood. Since Noel is Katie Holmes' middle name, many viewed it as a touching tribute to the woman who had raised her. However, the pattern continued when Suri enrolled at Carnegie Mellon University under the same name, leading many to wonder whether this was becoming more than a personal preference. The speculation finally ended when reports revealed that she had registered to vote in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, under the name Suri Noel, confirming that the change was legal rather than symbolic. Voter registration is not a nickname or a stage name. It reflects a person's official legal identity. Suddenly, what had once looked like a subtle personal choice became a significant public statement, as the surname she had carried since birth was officially gone. To understand why such a decision attracted enormous attention, it is necessary to look back at the events that reshaped her family more than a decade earlier. In 2012, Katie Holmes filed for divorce from Tom Cruise after approximately 5.5 years of marriage, a move that shocked Hollywood because they had been one of the industry's most famous couples, and Suri was only 7 years old. Holmes was granted primary custody, and shortly afterward she relocated with Suri to New York City, creating both physical and emotional distance between father and daughter. At the time, reports suggesting that Cruise had become absent from Suri's life prompted him to strongly defend himself by filing a defamation lawsuit against a tabloid publisher that claimed he had abandoned his daughter. During sworn testimony, Cruise described those allegations as absolutely disgusting and insisted that he had not cut Suri out of his life emotionally, physically, financially, or in any other way. He maintained that despite filming around the world, he remained in regular contact with her through frequent phone calls. For a time, that explanation became the accepted public narrative, portraying Cruise as a devoted father balancing an international career with family responsibilities. However, as the years passed, reports from entertainment publications began presenting a different picture. By 2018, several sources claimed that although Cruise reportedly retained visitation rights allowing him to spend time with Suri every month, he was not using those opportunities. Some reports suggested that differences surrounding the Church of Scientology, of which Cruise remains one of the organization's most prominent members, had become a significant factor because Suri was not being raised within the church following the divorce. Neither Cruise nor Holmes publicly confirmed many of those claims, leaving much of the discussion driven by anonymous sources and media speculation. Yet the perception of increasing distance continued to grow. By 2023, reports claimed that Cruise had not seen Suri in years and was no longer actively involved in her daily life. Although occasional stories suggested that he still loved his daughter, none described an active father-daughter relationship. Throughout those years, Katie Holmes consistently avoided criticizing Cruise publicly, instead choosing to focus entirely on protecting her daughter. She rarely discussed a divorce and spoke about Suri only with warmth, admiration, and pride. In interviews, Holmes described her daughter as intelligent, compassionate, and remarkably grounded despite growing up under intense public attention. Speaking with Glamour in 2023, Holmes explained that protecting Suri's privacy had become one of the most important responsibilities of her life because her daughter had experienced extraordinary media attention from the moment she was born. Holmes also involved Suri in her creative projects, including having her perform vocals during the opening credits of the 2022 film Alone Together, and later including her in the 2023 film Rare Objects, reflecting the close bond they appeared to share. In late 2024, Holmes publicly rejected tabloid claims suggesting that Suri had inherited a massive trust fund from Cruise, calling the reports completely false and ending her response with the emphatic word enough, one of the rare occasions she publicly displayed frustration. Against that background, Suri's decision to adopt the surname Noel appears less like a sudden act of rebellion and more like the natural conclusion of a journey that had quietly unfolded over many years. Yet perhaps the most fascinating aspect of the entire story is Tom Cruise's silence. Years earlier, when reports questioned his relationship with Suri, he responded with legal action and sworn testimony. This time, there's been no lawsuit, no spokesperson, no interview, and no public explanation. Reports citing unnamed insiders have suggested that Cruise has accepted the decision without attempting to challenge it publicly, with one source claiming that he simply views this chapter of his life as something that ended years ago. Whether those anonymous accounts accurately reflect his private emotions remains impossible to verify because only Cruise himself knows how he truly feels. Public silence should never automatically be interpreted as emotional indifference. What is publicly known is that Cruise reportedly continued meeting the financial obligations established during the divorce, including supporting Suri while she was a minor, although financial support and emotional closeness are not necessarily the same thing. Cruise's family history also demonstrates that relationships can evolve over time, as his adopted children with Nicole Kidman, Bella, and Connor Cruise have experienced periods of distance before later appearing publicly with him again, leaving open the possibility that family relationships can change in the future. Whether that will ever happen between Tom Cruise and Suri remains unknown. What makes this story especially compelling is that there has been no public accusation from either side. Suri has not written a memoir, participated in a televised interview, criticized her father publicly, or attempted to explain her decision. Instead, official documents have spoken for her. A graduation program, university enrollment records, and voter registration documents. Individually, each appears ordinary, but together they tell the story of a young woman quietly choosing the identity she wishes to carry into adulthood. Growing up beneath one of Hollywood's most famous surnames undoubtedly shaped her childhood, but adulthood often brings the opportunity to decide which parts of the past deserve to remain part of one's future. By choosing the name Noel, Suri appears to be honoring the woman who stood beside her throughout her life, while also creating an identity that belongs entirely to herself rather than the decades of celebrity headlines. In an age dominated by social media announcements, emotional videos, and carefully orchestrated publicity campaigns, the quiet nature of this decision makes it even more powerful. There were no dramatic speeches or explosive revelations, only legal paperwork, official records, and a simple change of name. Sometimes the most meaningful statements are not spoken aloud but recorded in documents that quietly mark the beginning of a new chapter. Today, the public knows only a few undeniable facts. Suri Cruise is now legally Suri Noel. Katie Holmes continues to support and protect her daughter, and Tom Cruise has chosen not to publicly respond. Everything beyond those facts remains private, known only to the people directly involved. That may ultimately be why this story has resonated with so many people around the world, because it is not really about celebrity gossip, but about identity, family, growing up, and the deeply personal choices people make as they move forward with their lives. In the end, after years of headlines, speculation, and public fascination, the strongest message may not come from an interview or a courtroom, but simply from a name.